Okay, so we're going to walk through the exam format so that you'll know what to expect for the IB Bio exam on May 14th and 15th. What you're going to be looking at is an exam from last year, from 2017. So the format hasn't changed. The only thing that would be different are the dates. So this is paper 1. Paper 1 is multiple choice, and it's 40 marks. Instead of being May 1st, yours is Monday, May 14th. And of course, it's 2018. And this is the first exam that you'll take at the beginning of the afternoon session. You have an hour for paper 1. And it's multiple choice questions. Here, I'll show you what this looks like. And the format will be the same as what you're used to seeing in class. Some of these you'll recognize from your actual exams. This is one of those. And you'll see some of these on the final exam as well. But it's multiple choice questions covering all content in the course. All of the HL content except for the option. So all SL and HL content except for the option. In 40 multiple choice questions, you have 60 minutes to do it. Then you'll have a short break and you will come back to do paper 2. Paper 2 is 72 marks and you have 2 hours and 15 minutes for paper 2. It's also on the 14th in the afternoon session. Paper 2 has 2 sections, Section A and Section B. In Section A, that's not a highlighter. In Section A, you'll answer all the questions, and then in Section B, you answer 2 questions. And I have formatted your Paper 2s this way on your midterm and finals, but I'll take you through and show you what this looks like. And again, 2 hours and 15 minutes, so you've got lots of time to do this exam. You want to make sure you use that time to your benefit. Let's look at Section A. So Section A is going to be the data interpretation style questions that then lead into questions about content. It's the questions that it's like 1, A, B, C, D, E, F, lots of parts building on each other. And so you can see that through here, and this is all still Section A, all still building on that first question prompt. And I'm putting some paper 2 questions into a Google form for you to practice that I will post for you soon. You're also welcome to come by my classroom and pick up paper 2 anytime as well. If you want to take it home and practice, come back, look at the mark scheme. But if you look here, you saw the data interpretation questions. Well, now here's some of the content style questions that are part of Section A. So you're still in the part here that you would answer all of the questions. There's a question on past year's work. Same type of format. Here's Section B, and you have the 2 hours and 15 minutes with this whole packet. So it's not like you have a separate time for Section A and Section B. You have an hour and 15 minutes for paper 2, all 72 marks, and how you divide that across the 2 sections would be up to you. Now for Section B, this is where you're going to answer 2 questions, and it says 2 questions, but what it really means is 2 question sets. And then you get 1 additional mark for construction of your answers, which that's mainly clarity. It's just 1 mark. So just answer the questions as clearly as possible and you'll likely get that one. I don't want you to worry too much about that mark. So in this case, you would choose 2 of these 3 question sets. So either 5 and 6, 5 and 7, 6 and 7, based on how confident you feel about each part. But you would do all of 5 and all of 6, or all of 5 and all of 7. So make sure you understand that. You wouldn't choose just one letter choice from any of them. because that's not super clear in the prompt. And then you're going to have several pages that look like this that you'll use to answer your chosen questions. Make sure, of course, you label them really clearly, both according to the number that you chose and also the A, B, and C parts, because as you can see, it's just blank lined paper and it needs to be clear which thing that corresponds to. All right, so that's paper 2. Paper 3 you will do on the 15th. So let's find paper 3. Okay, there we go. Okay, so paper 3 will be on Tuesday in the morning. And the difference here is it is not, this will be Tuesday the 15th. But it is a morning exam. You have an hour and 15 minutes for this one, and it is 45 marks. The same as paper 2, for paper 3, you've got 2 sections, a section A and a section B. In section A, that is going to cover anything in the HL content is fair game. And you're going to answer all of the questions in section A. Section B is where we move into the option. And it's also probably worth noting that section A is 15 marks of the 45. And section B is, oh, that math doesn't work, 30 marks. What happened there? Good grief. Sorry about that. I must have inadvertently pushed something over there on the margin and messed the whole thing up. Okay. Section A, 15 marks. Section B is 30 marks. And the option that we worked on and practiced is option C, ecology and conservation. And so you would answer all the parts of section A, and then when you get to section B, you're going to skip over to option C and work on those questions. So let's see what those look like. Again, section A is going to be the data interpretation types of questions. They are supposedly more connected to labs, however, they're very similar and broad, the same as section A in paper 2. So you'll be, this one, they had to remove the picture for copyright reasons, but it's the same basic setup where you're going to be looking at graphs and figures and tables and interpreting that and then connecting your understanding of course content to it. Now you can see a little bit of the focus here on the execution or lab type of stuff. It's asking about an apparatus that could be used to measure lung capacity. I've also seen questions here in paper 3 about how to use a light microscope. But then it moves into the same basic types of things. State one variable that had to be controlled in this experiment. So it's back to thinking through the experimental design, scientific thinking, and interpreting the data in the graphs and tables. Here is also where you're very likely to see one of those magnification calculation questions because it's an extension of the lab. The picture here was removed for copyright reasons again when I was able to purchase this exam, but you've got lots of those that you can practice with. And here's the part about focusing the light microscope, and then it's going to move from that into the basic content type of stuff. This one's on chlorophyll amounts, so you would be thinking chlorophyll, photosynthesis, and going that route. And this is asking you to describe the trend, very similar to paper 2 style question. Here we talked about this in class, the mesocosm, when we talked about the ecosphere. So this is asking about the mesocosm. So that's section A. That's what you can expect there. So very similar format to paper 2, with the exception that there is emphasis on the hands-on lab portion. When you get to section B, it leads right into the options. So it starts with option A, neurobiology and behavior. We didn't do that one, so you're going to flip through the pages. Until you get to option C. And again, you're going to have the full hour and 15 minutes for paper 3. You don't have to finish section A in a certain amount of time. Section B, you have that amount of time for paper 3, and you fit it in there however works best for you. This is difficult to flip the... Okay, here we go. Okay, option C. And a lot of these are going to look familiar to you because I pulled questions from here to put in the packet that I gave you. So this is the similar types of questions, again, with the graph interpretation, understanding data, and then moving into specific questions about content related in particular to the option. It's supposed to be just the option, but having some understanding of the ecology and the SL portion from topic 4 certainly helps you answer these types of questions because it builds on that information. So you can go back as you're reviewing for this portion of the exam, you can go back and review the SL stuff for topic 4 as well. And so this is the worm question that we went through in class. And it's the same types of formats of questions. There are particular questions here. This one's asking about indicator species, biomagnification, the open or closed ecosystems. But they're still starting from looking at a graph or figure, interpreting that, and then moving into the content. And that's it for the formatting for paper 3 and the formatting of the exam as a whole. So just as a recap, you have paper 1. That is going to be the first thing you do when you come to the afternoon session on May 14th. It's 40 marks. You have 60 minutes. It's 40 multiple choice questions. And then you're going to move on to paper 2, which is 72 marks. It's all open-ended questions, 2 hours and 15 minutes. Section A is the graph interpretation with the boxes that you write in. And then section B is where you're choosing 2 groups of questions, A through C. I don't think we talked about the marks here. Let's go to look at section B for that one. So if we look at section B, each of these groups of questions is 15 marks. So 30 of your 72 marks are going to come from this section. And so the other, well, I guess 31 if you count the 1 additional mark. And then the rest are going to come, the rest of the make up the 72, so the other 41 marks are going to come from section A. And then you get to section B, or paper 3, where you have section A and B as well. You have an hour and 15 minutes for that. And it's going to be paper 2 style questions for section A with a focus on hands-on types of investigations. Moving into section B, which is 30 of the 45 marks, and you're going to do option C. I hope this is helpful in making you feel confident for what to expect in the exam. And just Schoology message me or come by and see me if you have any questions.